Landon, good morning to you, and thanks for joining us. S&P's making a run towards the highs of the day of 59 and a quarter here. A lot of optimism the last couple days to start this week off.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think this is what the market needs. And, a lot of people are saying we're going to retest bottoms. It's inevitable, but I think there's some doubt to that now. And, I think a lot of people are starting to look at some of these stock prices across the board as bargains. And, this could be the time to be investing long term. So I love this market right now, and I hope we do continue on the upside.
Yeah, and Landon, I know that you guys are tracking some different companies and really lots of different companies here, and you're trying to find, where are the consumers looking forward to going, and what were they talking about prior to this, and where is that changing? So what are a couple of the companies that you guys are tracking right now that are sticking out in terms of, one, people talking about buying their product or service, and then ultimately looking forward to buying or going to those particular places on the other side of this?
Sure. I think there's a lot of people cooped up right now. They can't wait to get out and have some fun. And there's a couple of names that we're looking at right now. First of all, Ruth Chris and Churchill Downs is the second one. So let's talk about Ruth Chris first. Symbol RUTH, and they have that famous steakhouse. And what's interesting about them, when we look at, we were looking at purchase intent for them around Valentine's Day, just before all this happened. And it was their biggest Valentine's Day that we'd seen for 7 years. Very strong numbers out of them. Even when you discount the fact that Valentine's Day was on a Friday this year, we looked back at 2014, it was on a Friday as well. In 2015, it was on a Saturday. This year's Valentine's Day was 30% higher than both of those, and much higher than the ones of the previous couple of years. So people were really starting to pick up on that. And what's interesting is when you think about Valentine's Day, why it's so important is it's not just the revenue from that one day, but it shows you where people are thinking about going for that special occasion. And there's a lot of special occasions in people's lives: birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, things like that. And so if they're selecting Valentine's Day, that means that they're probably going to be selecting Ruth Chris on Valentine's Day. On those other dates as well. And so going into that, we were very bullish on Ruth Chris. And of course, the stock just absolutely got decimated over the last few weeks. They went from 24 down to $4. Now they're back around 8. So they got cut by 80%, and now they've doubled. There's some really crazy numbers out there. But over the long term, I think that people are really looking forward to getting back into restaurants like Ruth Chris. When we look at pent-up demand for a company like this, we're looking for when people are talking about, I can't wait to go there. I'm really craving this. I really miss going to this place. And if you look at the pent-up demand, it is insane. I mean, people are really dying. This is going to be one of the places that they absolutely get to very quickly because they're missing that nice meal, getting some drinks with friends.
Landon, I think you're making the case for two different spots, but you can make this same argument for a lot of parts of our economy, right? And the real question, the billion-dollar question coming out of this COVID pandemic is this going to be a slow, gradual, return of demand, or is this market a beach ball held under the water that's going to snap back and really fire off on all cylinders? And I think that's really what, we can measure in the two names you talked about, or really the whole economy. But are you seeing this across the board, or above and beyond the two names that you're covering today?
We're seeing a lot of pent-up demand across the board, but it's not evenly distributed even in the same sector. I mean, we've got a lot of restaurants that we look at, and Ruth Chris is one of the stronger names when people are talking about, I can't wait to get back out there. Just for reference, we looked at a company like Cracker Barrel, and it's down, actually. So people are not clamoring to get back out and go to Cracker Barrel. I think it's the special things that people are missing most, because that kind of signifies that they're back. And as far as a bounce back economy, I think it's really going to depend on how people spend these checks. Everybody's going to be getting these checks for $1,200. Are they going to put those towards the mortgage? Are they going to go out to Ruth Chris? So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not we are a beach ball held underwater. I hope it's that kind of situation. Really, for me, I'm a small business owner, so I think it's going to come down to, can small businesses weather this storm and get the economy going again? We'll see, but I'm very optimistic for sure.
Yeah, and Landon, I think the other thing is how long this storm lasts. That's really the big unknown right now. And the shorter that time frame is, the more and more companies are going to be able to weather that storm that you're referring to. But talk to me a little bit about Churchill Downs, what you're seeing there, because another kind of go-to event type of name, but a lot different than a restaurant.
Sure. And, this one hurts a little bit. So pardon me if I shed a tear. I mean, this is in Louisville, and we are about 1 month away from what should be the Kentucky Derby on May 2nd. But just a couple of weeks ago, they announced that they're postponing it to September 5th. I believe this is the first time they've ever done that. And so it's a big shock to the local economy for sure. As you can see, the purchase intent for Churchill Downs as a company always hovers around that first Saturday in May. That's the Kentucky Derby. Massive influx of people talking about spending money with this company. And it's not just Churchill Downs, the racetrack in Louisville. They have a lot of other racetracks. They've got the Louisiana Derby, Arlington up there by you guys in Chicago, Turfway, Fairgrounds Park, and then they've also got Derby City Gaming, which is a slots and historical racing machine gaming in Louisville, Kentucky. So they've got a lot of different parks, but of course the Kentucky Derby dominates. And if you look at what the stock has done, I mean, it was at 165. It got down to 61 in just a couple of months based on this sell-off. And then now it's up to about 95. So it's sold off down, over 40%, something like, or sorry, even more than that, even like 60%. And now it's up 50%. I mean, the numbers are absolutely insane. It's still 40% off of its highs. And it's all about the fact that people can't go to the Kentucky Derby. There was a lot of fear that they wouldn't be able to have it at all. But, of course, they're moving it to September. So we can all take comfort in the fact that we're going to have a lot of fun in September and then back-to-back in May. So it's painful for the local economy. But, Kevin, to your point, it's not across the board. If you look at a company like Dave & Buster's, they're similar as far as, people wanting to go out and have fun. It's nothing like the Kentucky Derby, but that purchase intent is down 14%. But when you look at the pent-up demand for racetracks and Churchill Downs, it is up there very high. And you can see that kind of took off around March 16th when they announced the move date for this Derby. So people cannot wait. I think it's going to be one of the biggest Derbies that we've had because it's got a different date in September. And I think that the company's going to do really well. I mean, it's a smart company. They're going to be positioned to take advantage of that revenue. So I'll send it back to you, Alex, but that's my take. And again, I got through that without crying.
No, it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, obviously, it's not a great situation, but I mean, like this is Masters week, and as a golf fan, I always look forward to this week. It's postponed as well, so there's so much of this across the economy and the sports world in particular in terms of things being postponed. But it's great that they're able to actually do this, and I think in this particular space in terms of events and things of where you get together with your friends and you go and you celebrate and you have fun. There's going to be a new appreciation for that stuff on the other side of what we've described during this segment as a storm that we're trying to weather. But Landon, my question comes back to Ruth Chris and companies more in the the hospitality and restaurant space. More and more people are getting used to cooking at home now and doing new things to obviously because they can't go out to restaurants that maybe they relied on in the past. Is there going to be a fundamental trend shift, or are people just looking forward to getting back out there?
This is a judgment call. I don't think there's going to be a fundamental trend shift. I think that maybe people's cooking skills at home are going to be increased a little bit. But speaking as a father of 3 kids, 9 and under, I can tell you I'm ready to get out of the house. And I think a lot of people share that sentiment. And once you get back into the norm, I think, honestly, I think a year, 2, 3 years from now, we're going to look back and think, I do remember that. That was kind of a strange time, but things are back to normal now. So I don't think it's going to be a fundamental shift.
Kevin,
I do think there's going to be a potential fundamental shift with companies like Zoom and Slack and things like that. That could be a fundamental shift, but cooking from home, I don't see it.